What are the differences between stone, porcelain, and ceramic tiles, and which one should you choose for your floor? Let's find out today on Smith House. Howdy y'all, it's Jordan Smith. If you want to take your skills to the next level in the trades, make sure you go check out MT Copeland for instructional videos like this one, but so much more. We're presenting long-form classes that really get into the details of construction, which will help take somebody from apprentice who knows nothing about the trades through journeyman all the way through mastery of the subject. Veronica and I have just finished selecting the tile for the Bellville Farmhouse, and we are going with a porcelain stone look. If you know anything about me, you know that I don't like things trying to pretend like there's something else. So you may be surprised that I'm doing a stone look porcelain instead of going with a natural stone. I love natural stone, and anytime that I can use it, I'm definitely grabbing the natural stone product. It just has so many more details and intricacies and fault lines and fossils and all kinds of cool stuff in a stone that you just can't mimic easily over on a man-made product. Each piece of stone is 100% unique, and I love that. However, that uniqueness comes at a cost, and that cost is its ability to withstand tension. All of these fault lines in here make stone very susceptible to breaking and cracking if your subfloor is not properly supported. So for things like slab subfloors, if I'm putting this right on concrete, stone all day long because it is on a very rigid substrate. Now, you want to do things like decoupling and other things that is beyond the scope of this video, but I love stone, and if my subfloor is rigid enough, I'm definitely going to use that. On the Bellville Farmhouse, however, we are using a wood subfloor. So we have I-joist on 16-inch on center, and we've got an 1.1/8" legacy decking on top of that. Super rigid, but the Tile Council of America still recommends on top of that we put another piece of at least a 1/2" subfloor, and then on top of that a cement backing board, and then on top of that our stone. So now we've gone up, at least 3/4 inches in just subfloor. And then we've got our tile on top of that, and we've got a very thick tile cement board, second piece of subfloor, to where over here, where our wood floors are going directly on our 1.1/8" legacy subfloor, we've got a big delta to make up. And I want this to be transitionless, so we'd have to really start bringing these floors up a long way away to float that all the way across. On top of that, I just didn't feel like it was the best solution to put a product where I knew we would have some issues on a subfloor that's not ideal for it. I just felt like durability in this case was going to be sacrificed if we just stuck to we're absolutely doing stone. I was afraid that we'd be paying the price down the road. So those two reasons, the thickness and then just lingering questions of durability, made me steer away from stone. So now I have two different options. I've got either ceramic or I've got porcelain. Let me talk a little bit about the differences between ceramic and porcelain, because you can get both ceramic floors and you can get porcelain floors, and the first thing you're going to see is that ceramic floors are much cheaper as a general rule than porcelain. Both of these products are man-made fired clay products. So they're both ceramics in the broad general sense of ceramics, which makes it really confusing that you have ceramics and you have porcelain ceramics. But that's where we're at. I don't make the rules, I just play by them. So both of these are made out of clay and they're fired, and then a certain portion of those products won't absorb water as much as a different portion of them. And the ones that don't absorb water very well, we call porcelain. And the ones that absorb more water, we call ceramic. So the actual rules on it is we take a tile and we boil it in water for 5 hours, and then we soak it for 24 hours, and then we weigh it. And if it's gained more than 0.5% of its weight in water, then it's ceramic. If it's gained less than 0.5% of its weight in water, then it's porcelain. So that's the divide line. And because the higher grade materials that are required to go into a low absorption tile, a porcelain, you're going to be spending more money on it. So they're just in general higher cost. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's always a better product, but it's nearly always a more expensive product. This is a ceramic, and this is a glazed ceramic here. So you see that glaze comes out over the end, and it's a very uniform color, and it's beautiful. We're using this for the walls because we don't really care about how well it stands up to foot traffic. This is the porcelain we're doing for some of the floors, and you can see it looks very much like a natural stone. In fact, this is an inkjet printed porcelain tile, so they have a surface texture on here that feels very much like a natural stone. It's not a high gloss finish like this one over here. It's a matte, honed, it feels exactly like stone. And because it's inkjet printed, we can have thousands of different images printed on thousands of different tiles, so the likelihood of it repeating is very low, and being obvious is even lower than that. So it still feels like a nice, real stone floor. In fact, once it's installed, it's very, very difficult to tell whether it's either porcelain or stone. Now, this isn't to say that porcelain is always a higher durability than ceramic. In our case, we've picked ceramics for the walls, and we're doing all porcelains for the floors, but there are ceramic floors that are very high wear floors. And the way that you tell the difference, because you can't just say, I want a porcelain and know you're getting a very high wear, or I'm getting a ceramic and you're getting a very low wear. The way that you tell the difference is there's something called the PEI rating, the Porcelain Enamel Institute rating. It goes between 0 and 5. 0 is like you don't put it on your floors at all. 1 is you put it on floors, but only if they're wearing socks and wearing gloves. 2 are you can put this in for floors, but it's low traffic areas. You maybe a bathroom, but you're definitely not going to put it in an entryway, and you're not going to want to put it in a kitchen. 3 is the sweet spot for residential. This is going to be great for kitchens, entries, baths, everywhere you want to put it. It is going to handle residential traffic, no problem. 4 is getting into a commercial grade, and then 5 is stuff like airports, where it's just all day, every day. Thousands and millions of people are going to be walking across it. So you can get porcelain in a PEI 3. You can get ceramic in a PEI 3. You can get porcelain in a 4, and you can get ceramic in a 4. So make sure that you don't just throw out ceramics as being, oh, they're always bad and they're never going to give me the durability that I need. That's not necessarily the case. Pricing, in my experience, pricing is always based on a aesthetic and performance together. And ceramics, because most ceramics that I find are a glazed tile, they're just going to have a different look than the inkjet printed porcelains. Not to say that you can't find inkjet printed ceramics as well, but when you find them, they're going to be more expensive than just the glazed counterparts, and they'll still be probably a little bit less expensive than the porcelain. So just educate yourself, make sure you understand PEI ratings. The difference between porcelain and ceramics is not all that important, because if you know the PEI ratings and you're talking to your tile supplier, like, is this a good choice for floors or is it not? They're going to be able to steer you in the right direction. If you have a slab, then a lot of the decisions get a lot easier because you've got stone. You still want to pay attention to that PEI rating because that talks about a lot of things on abrasion. But if you're on a wood subfloor like me, I would be very careful about choosing stone. Make sure that you check all of the boxes and you do everything to the Tile Council of America's recommendations before you put on stone, because nothing's worse than installing a tile, having it crack, and then having to redo it just 5, 10, even 15 or 20 years later. I mean, we want to make these things last for as long as a homeowner wants them to last, and we don't want them replacing it just because of shoddy workmanship or poor selection on materials. Thanks so much for watching. Go check us out at Smith House Co., at Jordan Smith Builds, at mt.copeland. Go check out mtcopeland.com, and we'll see you next time on Smith House.